Good afternoon from AlphaCars. My name is Tom, coming to you from our Northampton location, and today I'm very excited to share with you this 2017 Porsche Macan GTS. This Macan is currently showing just over 66,000 original miles, and if you would like to see a high-resolution detailed photo set, please reference the listing at alphacars.com. There, of course, you will also find a free included Carfax report, alongside a long list of technical data related to the vehicle's remaining tire and brake life, as well as individual readings from each panel using our paint depth gauge. But today I'll take you on a quick condition overview around both the interior and the exterior, as well as going over some of the more notable features. So starting here on the exterior, of course, you will see it finished in a triple black setup, wearing those bright red brake calipers that stand out. It's a beautiful spec. I think it fits the Macan very nicely. Of course, the black paint here on the bodywork is in excellent condition all the way around the vehicle. I'll go really close to the panel so as to look for any dings, dents, scratches, etc. Making our way down the driver's door, all checks out very nicely. Same goes for the passenger or the rear passenger door, and the quarter panel looks great as well. So here on the driver's side, it all checks out beautifully. So of course, in that triple black scheme, we have the black paint. Now we have the black trim, all carrying around the windows where you might usually find chrome. Here we find a beautiful piano black, which I think looks great. On the pillars, you have that satin black, which presents well as just the same. And finally, we have those gorgeous 20-inch wheels finished in a satin black paint scheme, absolutely stunning, and they do a great job of highlighting those beautiful cherry red brake calipers wearing the Porsche script. We also have some nice satin black trim here on the lower portion of the doors, and that brings us to the front wheel, which, just as the rear, looks fantastic. Very, very good condition. Now here at the front fascia of the Macan, of course, beautifully designed. It fits very well in Porsche's design language with all their models. It's all very consistent. You can see the really cool design inside the headlight lenses themselves. And that wears a very slight amount of bronze trim around that one eye there on the main headlight. It looks very cool. You can see one beautiful clamshell hood. So when you open the hood, it seams just here. So the headlights remain, and there are cutouts for the headlights in the hood itself. It's a very, very cool look, and it makes for a very clean appearance in the front. Of course, tons of places for air to go here on the Macan. You can see those active flaps there for cooling and optimal aerodynamics. They're just behind the front grills, and we have some cooling features just here on either side under the headlights in those big gills. But very few, if any, major rock chips or damage here on the front bumper. And now we'll move to the passenger side of the vehicle, where first things first, we find another wheel in great condition. And next up, we go really close to the panel, looking for any imperfections. The smallest dent you could imagine, just there, very tiny. And finally, here at the rear, it all looks great. Last wheel to take a look at here in the rear, again, presents very nicely. And that finally brings us to the rear of the Macan GTS, where we find all of the Porsche badging blacked out, as is everything else on the vehicle. It looks very nice, very subtle. But of course, with options like these wheels and just looking so aggressive with that front end styling, people are going to know this is not just a regular old Macan, but the GTS still remains on the back for further clarification. We also have these dual kind of dark chrome exhaust tips. They all look great and make a beautiful sound. And of course, the taillights present beautifully as well. Next up, let's make our way to the interior. Absolutely stunning interior. Taking a look at the seating. Driver's seat in excellent shape. Bolsters both look fantastic. You can see the GTS emblem stitched into those headrests. Same goes for the passenger seat. It all presents very nicely. Now I'm going to make my way inside. A nice heavy thud as the door closes. Falls very silent here in the interior. Taking a look, of course, an absolutely beautiful steering wheel. One of the best on the market, in my opinion. Absolutely love it. I love all the pass-throughs. You can see through the wheel in multiple places. And of course, the bright Porsche emblem adding a bit of color to this relatively monotone interior. Looking here across the dash, it's all in great condition. We have, of course, your stopwatch/clock. Beautiful stitched leather across, looks great. And now, I'm going to waste no time firing it up. The key is in my pocket. It does have the tab inserted there. So all I have to do is twist it, and you get that beautiful startup sound. As you can see, infotainment screen fired up without any issue. Whereas a lot of Macans, you'll see a darker trim, maybe piano black, maybe even carbon fiber. Here we find a beautiful stainless brushed semi-gloss metal trim, which I think provides a beautiful contrast here on the interior of the Macan. You get a little bit shinier trim here on the steering wheel. That's all in absolutely perfect shape. Gauge cluster showing no strange warnings. Everything checks out there on the right with the vehicle information, but of course that screen is able to swipe through various different menus, including a stopwatch for lap times, if necessary, of your active torque split, tire pressure monitoring, and various other really cool features, including a full color map. So we love to see all of those options available. It all looks great. Again, door cards look great as well. Nice big metal pedals down here in the footwell. Of course, as you would expect, a nice high definition reversing camera, and I can open that full color map here on the main screen as well. Here underneath this sneaky cover, we do have some inputs, including a CD player, old school, and some SD inputs. And that brings us here to the center console. All of these controls look great. Your temperature controls, various other climate features, and your defroster. Here on the right, a lot of your passenger controls. We have heated and ventilated seats here in the front on both seats. They both work great. I have some driver focus controls here, including Sport Mode, Sport Plus. I have suspension with 3 separate settings of aggression. I can lower the vehicle, raise it up a little bit, traction control, and a few more over here. Your off-road setting, your lane keep assist, your active exhaust, which sounds beautiful, and your auto start-stop feature. And just above my head, a beautiful panoramic roof. I can, with one touch, close this shade. I always like to show this in the video because you always want to make sure something like this works. You can see it finds its home nicely, no tears or wrinkles in the fabric, and opening it, we'll see it operates just the same. Goes all the way back, finds its home, stows away perfectly fine. You can also see the headliner in perfect shape as well. But all set here in the front, let's take a look at what powers the Macan GTS, and I'll meet you under the hood. See you there. All right, so as we can see now, we're under the hood of the Macan GTS, and a very interesting hood at that. As I mentioned before, it is one big clamshell setup. You do have these small cutouts for the headlights themselves, and it reveals this beautifully clean engine bay. Looking at all of the plastics around the perimeter, they all look great. It's idling very happily, very quietly. Headlight lenses, again, crystal clear, so it all presents very well. Look at the engine cover itself. I love how they have these 3 slashes on either side to represent each cylinder on this 3-liter V6 engine that they've labeled there. You can even get a look at the actual hard motor underneath there, beautifully finished in silver, giving a nice contrast here even under the hood, because Porsche pays attention to little details. You do have some vents just there with your air filters inside being fed through the hood just there. So of course, very clean, idling beautifully, but going into the specs a little bit, this vehicle falls between the Macan S and the Macan Turbo. So this features the 3-liter V6 that we find in the Macan S, but they've reworked some of the internals and the timing and the tuning. Pardon me, a little bit of a plane going overhead. So because of that rework, this engine now produces about 360 horsepower and around 370 pound-feet of torque, which is about 20 more horsepower than the S and about 30 more pounds-feet of torque. It also gets a nicer sound and a couple more changes with the transmission tuning. And speaking of the transmission, we have the absolutely stunning 7-speed PDK gearbox. It's incredible, just about the best transmission on the market. The shifts will have you questioning why anybody else is even making transmissions anymore. It's a lovely powertrain and a lovely car. And that carries on to the experience for your second row occupants. Now, I'm about 6'4", about to slide into these seats that are in absolutely beautiful shape, as we can see. You can see it's a little limited for room, but 6'4", sitting behind where I would comfortably drive the vehicle. I do have room to sit here comfortably. It's a little bit tight, I will say, but it's not unreasonable, and I can sit here comfortably without any interruption. You can see here for my convenience, I have some temperature adjustment and heated seats for either rear occupant. And again, beautiful view of that massive panoramic roof and a beautiful view of the cabin ahead. Last up, let's take a quick look at the cargo capacity here. But Porsche did a great job at hiding your trunk switch. It's just there on the wiper. One touch raises up this lid, and we can see plenty of storage space. Those seats do drop down, and of course we have our rubber floor mats. I have the second row floor mats fitted in the vehicle, but here in the back we have the ones for the front occupants, and of course the big rubber mat protecting the trunk itself. I can also, using this switch on the right, I can raise and lower the rear suspension to make the load floor a little bit higher or lower in order to make loading cargo easier. And one touch will drop down this hatch, latching into place beautifully. Now, there's a ton of these small SUVs in this category on the market today, as we know, but I've always told people that if you want an SUV that truly drives like a sports car, whether that's the steering or the throttle response or the noise, gear changes, just about every aspect, Porsche nailed on the Macan, and it really feels like a true Porsche. And if you're a driving enthusiast who needs a little bit more room, I seriously suggest you take a look at this 2017 GTS. So if you have any further questions, please reference the listing at alphacars.com. There you're going to find all the relevant contact information. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful rest of your day. We hope to hear from you soon. Thank you from AlphaCars.